Thank you. Cheers, Paul. So who here, you're in the business sort of talk, who here wants to start their own business, do they think one day? So quite a few of you, so half the room. Who here has got an idea of what they want to do? Anyone got any sort of bright spark ideas? Oh, the lady there. Shall I put you on the spot?
No, please.
No, okay. I thought that's why I'd ask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just so those people that that want to start a business, that are passionate about sort of business, entrepreneurship, it's really, really hard. But there are certain things that you can do that can really give you a head start. I'm going to give you three really practical things as we go through. But I want to show you a video in a minute of what it's like to start a business. I want to show you this video and you're going to watch it and you're going to think I'm crazy, but I'll explain it afterwards. Because starting a business, as I said, is really hard, but it's really exciting. It's a massive adventure. And one of the things we do, wonderful there, is we help to launch companies quite often. So we do a lot of work with tech startups, primarily in London, but not just in London, all around the country and abroad. And we do a lot of work in helping entrepreneurs and business leaders to be able to shape their business. What does it look like? How will it become a success? And there's certain factors and mechanics to making a business a success. It's not luck, number one. Number two is it does come down to some of the things you've learned. So learning in school, reading online, watching YouTube videos, keep learning. I think Becky said that earlier on. It's really, really important. But number three, forget the word digital because that's what we do. But number three, joining the dots. Like entrepreneurs, business leaders have to join dots. Because you've got, in the business, you've got three main things, right? You've got a product or service that you sell. You've got to sell it for some money. You've got to make some money. It's finance is what makes a business go around. Then you've got the operations of a business, being able to deliver it. And fundamentally, you're juggling those all the time, particularly when you start. So in your mind as a business leader, you've always got to be thinking about joining the dots. But put that aside for now. Forget that. For those people that are interested in starting a business, even if you're not interested, watch this video and I'll pick up on it in a minute. Well, I'll just stop there because it goes on and the tribe gets bigger and bigger. But I'm going to give you 3 business tips from Dancing Man. And you're thinking, what on earth is going on? Why Dancing Man? What's Dancing Man all about? But you know what? When you start a company, it is a bit like being that Dancing Man. You're standing there. I started my first business at 24, 25, and you just got this product and service. You think you can do something. You want to try and sell it to some people. And you look and can feel like the dude there, just trying to tell people, I've got this company, I'm going to start this business, it's going to be good, do you want to buy it? And you don't know if anyone's going to buy it. You don't know if it's going to work or not. And being an entrepreneur is one of the most exciting, but also one of the kind of scary. It can be really scary. Being honest with you, you kind of think, is anyone going to buy into this? Am I going to be this awkward dancing man, dancing by myself for the next, for the rest of the festival, or are people going to join in? I don't think he actually cared. I think he was having a great time. But I want to give you 3 really practical things when starting a business to think about that will really help you to become a success at it. Now, this isn't a guarantee. There's a disclaimer here. It's just 3 things I've seen work. I'm not saying it's going to work. But number 1 in business is knowing your why. So what I mean by that is, why do you want to start a business? Why should you have a business? Now, making money and becoming loaded and really, really rich is not a great reason to start a business. 2 reasons. 1, because most people don't get really, really rich at starting a business. Number 1. And number 2, you certainly more than likely they won't do that in the first few years. So if money is the only motivator for starting a business, it's not a great why. So if you look at all of the entrepreneurs and people that you would have heard of, the Richard Bransons, the Steve Jobs, those sorts of people that we know, Zuckerbergs, that we all know about, their why, the reason they do what they do is not money driven, it's purpose driven. So in other words, they want to change something. They want to change the way an industry works, or they've got a better idea for how they can deliver a certain product, or they've got a better idea for how they can deliver a service. So their why is often to bring a sort of change, or to do something differently, or to do something better, more efficient, more cost effective. Their why is really different. So if you've got an idea, or in the future you say, do you know what, I really want to get into business, why? And it could be, some of those reasons could also be that you want to employ people, you want to make people's lives better, you want to have a better life for you and your family. There's always those motivations as to why you want to start a business. But do you know why that's so key? Because when it gets tough, the entrepreneurs that I've worked with that don't really have that why, they give up, or they go get another job, or the business just fails. But when people are determined because they're driven internally, it's like a psychology lesson, huh? When they're driven internally and they know their why, they'll overcome challenges. So you think about it in the sports environment, you can read about it in books, go read Bear Grylls stuff. There's always that why stuff is really, really important when you want to be an entrepreneur. Know your why. Such a key to success. Second one, it's the second number 1, should be number 2, so don't change the PowerPoint, is know your niche. So in other words, most ideas we have in business have been done before. Most ideas you've got, you kind of think, oh, do you know what, it's been done before, but how can you do it? What value do you add? What's your niche in that? So as an example, Reflect Digital are a digital agency, wonderful in its basic essence as a digital agency. So you could look at it, go on our websites and go, don't you guys do the same thing? Actually, we don't. We do things that are very, very differently. So our services are quite different. The way we do it's quite different. We've both got niches that are actually different. So you could think, well, does the world need another digital agency? Not if it's got a niche, not if it delivers a certain way, not if it's got a certain value to it. So whether you're thinking of starting a hair and makeup brand or a motorsports brand, or you want to start selling, you want to make trains, I don't know, you want to change the way the train industry works. That's a really boring example. I'm sorry, for someone it might be interesting. I just bored me saying it. But whatever your why is, find your niche. Everyone, if they've got a great business idea and they know why they're doing it, it often carves out a niche. Now, the way in which you can find it out, what people are doing and what their niche is, go onto social channels and see what people say. So Mark Gaisford said that this morning, didn't he? He was talking about LinkedIn, and he was saying, go on to LinkedIn. He's a great one for this, isn't he? He's got a really clear why. Mark is very open about his communication. He's very open about why he does what he does in business, the things he's passionate about. He's got a niche. The way that he runs a recruitment agency is very, very niche. 99.9% of recruiters will not do what Mark Gaisford does. And some people, I'm not even sure, know he runs a recruitment agency, because he's just this guy on LinkedIn that's just got content out there, that's just talking constantly about why he does what he does, what he's passionate about, what his values are, what his niche is, how he helps people. And the last number 1, which is called number 3, is build your tribe. And this is absolutely vital. So in in investment world, so like if you ever need to get investment for your business, one of the first things investors will ask you, okay, you've got a great business, yeah, right, Fred, great business idea, right, Mary, great business idea, okay, yeah, I can see what you're talking about, you want to change the way this works, and great, so who's bought into it? Have your friends and family bought into it? Does anyone actually care? That is the key to launching a business successfully, is building an audience and building a tribe. So if you go back to Dancing Man, because this is all key tips from Dancing Man, for a long time he danced by himself, then it was the principle of the first follower, so the first person came to follow him, and then once the first person came, second person came, and once you've got a little critical mass, the market will follow. So without trying to extrapolate that example too much, that when you start getting a few people on board, people start talking, right? People start sharing content. People start saying, do you know what? That was a really good service. I really love the way those guys make sandwiches. It's amazing. And you start telling your friends, and your friends they consume it and tell their friends, and you start to build a tribe. And that's the way business works organically, is that if you left this room today and told 5 people that Becky Sims is the most amazing person ever in her talk, and then they tell 5 people, you start to build a tribe. It's as simple as that. So in all businesses, when you're launching, you've got to be thinking about building your tribe. We've all got tribes, we've all got networks. And you might think, yeah, but they're not relevant, they're not going to buy my company or buy from my company. No, but they might post a piece of content about your company that someone else wants. So your network isn't just your immediate network, it's the shareability of that as well. So building a tribe is absolutely vital. And it's something we can all do. I mean, I did it at school. They used to have, work with my friends at school to sell things and do things. And you only got to work with 4 or 5 people. They'll work with 4 or 5 people, and you build your network that way. So everyone can do that. So if you're starting a business, 3 things we think about. One is know your why, know your purpose, know why you're doing it, what are you passionate about, what's driving you, what really gets you excited. Money is good, but money is not the only reason to start a business. Definitely the only reason to start a business. Know your niche. So what is it you can bring? What value can you bring? What value can you add? How can you really make a change in whatever it is you're talking about or thinking about? And lastly, build your tribe. So who can become your first set of customers? Even if you're giving it away for free or for cheap, but getting the word out there. How can you test your product or service? One of the reasons businesses fail, that sounds really boring now, but something like 70% of businesses fail after 3 years. Like that's from the Office of National Statistics, is because a lot of the times they don't build their customer base. They don't actually know what's going to work for customer perspective. So find customers, family, friends, people in your clubs and your groups, people online. Find customers, work with them, get them to give you feedback, and build your tribe that way. And when you put simple principles like that into place, your business is much more likely to be successful. Because they're just real sort of simple things that all of us can do if we're going to be entrepreneurs to make our business a success. So how long have we got for questions?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I'm just going to start with
question.
How did you win your first deal? It was when you were 2024.
Oh, don't answer that question. Okay. So he stitched me up right now. Okay.
In case he wasn't going to tell you.
I wasn't going to tell the story. So I had to practice what I'm preaching, right? So not dancing, I did not dance like that. I started my first consultancy at 24, and I was asked to speak at an event like this, and it was like a business event, and so there were loads of guys in grey suits sitting there, and I was doing a talk on viral marketing and how to communicate through viral, which is like you guys, it's like second nature to you. Viral marketing is like old school for you guys. I'm talking 2004, 2003, so that's how I'm very old. So 2004, 2003, and so I'm doing a talk on viral marketing. I'm standing there, and myself and another person doing a talk. And what I'd done is I'd planted a mate of mine in the crowd, and no one knew he was a plant. He was wearing a suit, and he was sat in the crowd as if he was one of the guests at the event. And so I don't know why I did this. I'm not encouraging anyone to do this. But I said, my friend that was talking about viral marketing said, right, would you guys like to see a live example of viral marketing? And bearing in mind, 15 odd years ago, most people hadn't seen it. So they said, yeah, great. So my friend grabbed a can of, which was water, but it was in a jerry can, so it looked like a can of petrol, and he ran into the crowd and pretended to pour it on the plant in the crowd. And the whole room just went crazy. And we were videoing the whole thing, obviously. And the whole room went crazy. And the two guys ran out the room together, and like it was a whole. And obviously, one thing I hadn't accounted for was, what do you do after you pulled a stunt like that? So I stood there with a whole group of people just looking at me, and I said, and that's what viral marketing is. You're all going to go away and talk about it. And they do go away and talk about it still a few years later. Still talk about it now. It's one of these events I did 15 years ago. But what the point to that was, someone came up to me afterwards and said, look, I'm looking for a promotional campaign with a difference, and I want you to tender for it. And we won it, and it was a 50 grand project. So we won a 50 grand project within the first 2 or 3 weeks of our business opening. And it was just being true to our why. We wanted to make a difference. It was carving out a niche. I'm not saying it was a clever one. I'm not encouraging anyone to do that, but we carved out a niche, and we certainly built a tribe. We got a lot of people talking about us. Some people didn't like it. Some people loved it. Some people thought we were weird and stupid. Some people thought we were brilliant. But it launched the business, my first company, within the first month. And so, yeah, I'm not advocating that, but that is how we won our first piece of business. Any more questions? Wow. Paul's brought the house down. Got time for a couple more questions. Well, you're a quiet group. The last group had loads, didn't they?
What was your why?
Okay, this is a good one. I can answer that. Yes, please don't ask me any more questions. Our why now at Wonderful is, we make wonderful things happen. Our why is to deliver lasting change. So when we go into a business and we're working with a company, we have to understand, and we have to work with them to understand what the change is that we're going to deliver. Because unless we can both understand that why, how do you know if what we do is a success or not? How do you know if we're delivering change? How do we got anything to benchmark it against? So we do that through a lot of boring and technical ways, which I won't go into today. But our mission is to deliver lasting change, and we're clear about that in everything that we do.
Love it.
For both businesses, how much did you have to invest in starting, and how quickly did you make profit?
Well, I got lucky because I got a 50 grand deal. So that kept us going for a few months. Having said that, we've launched companies where on friends and family, so not too much. And you've got a great story, you can pick up on this in a minute. I've seen companies that have launched successfully off a couple of £1,000s, just to get them going, and they've built a tribe quickly, so people started to buy from them. I've seen companies, I'm involved in companies that have blown £250,000 in a couple of months and just burnt. I've watched companies burn, £200,000, £300,000, £400,000 because they don't get those principles right. So just spend a lot on a lot. It's not hard to spend money, right? So you think about it, you want to go shopping, you really want to go shopping. It's not hard to spend money, but it's about spending it in the way that's going to generate the right return. So it does depend on the type of business you've got. So some companies, if you haven't got to invest loads into products, say it's a service you're offering and it's you offering the service, the upfront cost isn't as much, right? But if you're selling a product and you've got to make the product, then obviously there's more cost to that. So it depends on the type of business. So, but you've got, your story about that is really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, so my dad basically gave me £3,000 to start Reflect Digital. That was literally it. He did say there wasn't any more to come. we got up to £75,000 over the 9 years that we've been going, and I think I've got 10,000 left to pay him back, which he will have before the end of this year, which is wonderful. So I don't think he ever thought he'd get it back, but he is getting it back.
That's great.
But yeah, so we started with 3,000. Won a deal within probably the first 4 weeks of running the business. But then the bit that you don't always think about, and I think I was probably naive about, is when someone says, yes, I want to work with you, and yeah, I'll pay you £6,000 for that. It doesn't mean you get £6,000 straight away.
Mm-hmm.
So some of it you might bill up front, but some of it you won't get till you finish. So, and also some people don't pay very well. So these wonderful businesses out there might not pay quickly. So although you've invoiced them, they're not necessarily going to give you the cash. So that's part of the cash flow drama of running a business. The real reality of that doesn't really hit until you're in it, and it's how do you manage this and how can you prepare yourself to get as much money in as early as possible. But yeah, so we started on 3,000, and probably by the end of year one hadn't borrowed that much more than that because my costs were so low, because it was just me and I was using freelancers, and I wouldn't pay the freelancers until I'd been paid by the client. But the second you start employing people, salaries to pay, and you're not going to miss their salaries, so therefore, and they're not going to wait for the client to pay because they've got bills to pay, and that's not the model. So it's then, how do we make sure we've got enough money coming in to keep that going? So I then had to borrow more money from my dad as we grew. But yeah, making a profit. We made a profit in year one, and then when we employed people, we stopped making a profit because costs went up. So it's been a bit of a yo-yo for us. In that some years we've made more profit, some years we haven't made profit. But actually, we're now on a really good trajectory, and we've really found our place. I would say I wish I'd done Dan's talk before I started a business, and I wish there's so many things I wish I knew when I started a business that I know now. So I was properly winging it. So when you wing it, you have good and you have bad, but there was always a plan of how do we improve this, and that test and learn and make mistakes and learn from them to get to the point of where we are now, which is on an upward trajectory. Fingers crossed, continuing that way. But you never know with business, and you've got to be ready to adapt and change. So, yeah.
Who here still think about running a business after that talk?
All of you, hopefully.
Yeah, all of you, hopefully.